The black is beautiful. And there was a boy holding his blade, and he said, "This is going to be good." But staring at his own eye in the reflection of the blade looked like a dragon's eye, and that person he was remembering said that would guarantee him the power of the dragon, and would be sure that he could withstand all the karma he received. Of the white tiger, however, there is a condition. If someone asks him for a favor in his name, he must do that favor even if it costs his life, and he thought that this was what he learned from his master. He couldn't ignore it, but it was a task difficult. So, in the middle of the mountain range, he thought this place was incredibly high, and also this tremor. That is happening. He thought it was very, very annoying, and he thought that after becoming a disciple of that man because of the promise they made to each other, they had to fight a duel to the death, and he said he didn't want to go. Why don't these people do it themselves? Why do they drag their disciples into it? But then, they said he was late and there was a group waiting for him, and they looked quite strong, and he thought of a duel to the death with guards. That seems a bit strange, and one of the men asked if he is Jodinsu's disciple. He said, okay, a promise is a promise. He said that yes, he is called Pai Will, and Pai thought that he showed a woman to show that he is big, rich, and that he earns favors from others, and he introduced himself as Sheo Seo Rui, disciple of Si Hangnung, and Pai thought that this woman is pretty enough that even he would want to earn that kind of favor, you see, but she isn't even looking in his direction. It doesn't make sense, and asked if that woman of his is really beautiful. But he thought he ended up in a death duel with bodyguards, extravagant clothes, and a woman. This guy is either up to something, or he's the biggest idiot he's ever met. Still, these two things make Pai dislike him a lot, and he thought he would solve all of this easily, and Pai asked, "How about the loser getting a wish from the winner?" But Chong said it was a duel to the death. The loser dies, Pai said. Exactly. The wish can wait until after death. Well, Tong said, it's ridiculous, but fine. What does he want? And pew for the woman. And Tong asked, what is he trying to do? And Pai said, just a little day with her. What do you think, of course, the woman got? Very embarrassed by this, and the guy very, very angry. Now he was more motivated for the duel, and Pai thought, now, yes, this was what I wanted. And when Ton charged very quickly, Pi also got ready with his stance. Tiao seemed to be using a technique, and the piedade that Tiao hit would be impossible for sure. It's a very powerful foot technique. Everything about this man proves that he had an excellent master, a very refined technique. Indeed, dodging this type of technique of his is impossible, but Pai used his dragon eye and analyzed the absolute strength of that guy's martial technique. If Pai received a direct attack from this technique is certain death, however, pointing your sword at a visible target is not difficult at all, because not only can you perceive the emotions, but the target is also very obvious. This guy's sword is pathetic, so Pai hit the side of Tio's sword, completely unbalancing his strike, and PR's sword took control of the fight with a smile. He already knew he would win. The guy was dead. His blade was already in Tumen's chest. Of course, everyone was quite shocked by this, and those two bodyguards, so to speak, intervened in the fight. Holding the blade, and the other went straight for the Pai, and he thought there was no way to survive, but then he woke up suddenly. He woke up looking at the ceiling of a room, and he wondered, what place is this? And someone asked if he was already conscious, and it was that girl from before. He got up with a bit of pain, of course, but asked how he was still alive, and she said, "First drink this," and he asked why she was giving him medicine for him, and also he can trust this type of medicine. There's no poison here, but she said not to worry because it was made with the best and highest quality ingredients for medicines, and Pai thought, if they wanted to kill him, they already would have. Would have killed him, right? So he drank it all despite the pain, and she asked if it was so bad that even taking medicine hurt. It hurts, he said. No, he's just saying to forget it. But he asked why the first thing he saw when woke up was this beauty that is this woman. She said she feels flattered, but seriously, he asked where he. She said that this is a small residence of Senor Rui Rang, and Pai asked, Rui Rang, "You mean Shion, right?" Say Shion, right? And she said, "Yes, man. The guy simply lost a duel unfairly, was kidnapped by a person who did this to him and now is talking to his wife. If this guy isn't a player, I don't know who is." And she asked, "Besides, why isn't he angry?" And Pi asked, "Angry about what? The dishonor or the interference of third parties in the duel? Interference from third parties in the duel?" He said that the dead have no right to say that because the loser usually is dead, right? And even using some trick, the dead is dead. This made the girl laugh a lot at him, and she apologized. She asked, "Is his body there? Is he okay? Can he move?" Pi said, "Yes, he can, but he feels a sharp pain in his chest every time he takes a deep breath. But considering what happened to him, they are minimal wounds." And she said that since the news that he has woken up must have spread already, someone will definitely come to take care of him soon. But Pi said that the only person who saw him wake up was her. There was someone else in the room, but she only said that it's hard to say, and P wondered what that means, but P said that putting that aside, he could ask because she's being so kind to someone like him who kind of tried to kill her lover, right? But she said that she didn't feel any intention to kill on his part. The way he pointed the sword at Rurang was simply as if he had just placed it there, and Pi thought that even up close it was a very imperceptible moment. This woman is also a swordmaster to notice this. Then Rurang himself appeared, saying that he is feeling better, not in the way he's talking so much with his wife, and he asked if she could give him some space to talk about actions. But before she left, Pi asked her name, and she introduced herself as Seorind, and P was very impressed by her beauty. But then she left the room to let the two of them talk alone, and then it became a somewhat strange atmosphere, a silent and awkward ambiance, and the guy was clearing his throat, and Pi asked if he came to talk about why he's clearing his throat now, but Tiao said he came to apologize. No matter how you see the situation, he lost the duel, and the Pi said he understands the humiliation he must be feeling, but what kind of attitude is that? Bringing bodyguards and his mistress to the duel. Cho said it wasn't his fault. Those old masters didn't listen to his orders, and Seorind also didn't. And he also thought he hadn't lost. So he let it happen. And he thought the duel would be easy dealing with the newbie, and Pi said that technically he didn't die, and since this happened only because of the masters, them can let the matter slide. Cho said it's fine. He'll let it go, and Pi thought it wasn't the best situation to say this, but since he technically won the duel, how about fulfilling his wish? And Tiao asked the wish, and P said, don't you remember that wish of winning? He wants to spend a whole day with the Sir, call her over there. But the Tan asked, Sir, does he know how many days he has been here? This is already the third day. The third day that he stayed lying down the whole time, and he has already disturbed your Demai for a long time. So there's no point in fulfilling this kind of wish, and the Tiao slammed the door, and Pi asked, Wait a minute, have 3 days passed? And when he left, someone else asked, What expression is that on his face? Never thought I would see that kind of expression on T's face in my entire life. Meanwhile, P was there meditating, and this guy wondered if he was balancing his inner energy as soon as he woke up, and it seems like this guy is really good, and Pi noticed he was there and asked who he was. He introduced himself as Nadio, and he said that, as the rumors said, P looks like a great martial artist. He said he wants to take a walk with Pio. Maybe there's someone who really wants to get to know him later. They were walking together down a hallway, and Pi asked, What do you mean, rumors? That he mentioned earlier, and Nadia said that he defeated the master. The rumors simply spread. This place is full of people looking for a fight, and Pi asked, Wait, wanting to fight me? And Nad said that it's more or less that. But still, how did he defeat Master Chan? Pi said maybe luck, but Nadia said that no, of course not. He knows everything that happened. He provoked him, made him angry so he would use his technique, then took advantage of the gap, and Pi asked how he knows so much about the fight if he wasn't there, but Pi said that everything that he saw was actually a very simple footwork technique. but Nadio wondered if he broke the divine sword, and Nadio asked, "Wait, can you see the technique?" But they arrived at the promised location that they wanted to meet Pi, and it seemed like a very frightening place. So Nadio knocked on the leader's door, and Pi asked, "What do you mean, leader?" Then, when Nadio opened the door, a malevolent energy came out of it, and the man inside wasn't looking friendly. And Nadia said, he brought him to the river but said his condition is still very good, and asked that the leader please deactivate his demonic energy, and the leader said that it's true. It must be difficult to endure all of this with a wounded body, right? And Pi had really gotten tired just from feeling this energy. But there were more people in that room too, and an old lady asked if he was the one who survived that blow, the blow of the Dark Elder, and Pi asked, "Dark Elder, are you talking about that old man who hit?" And the leader said, yes. He survived, but he's not doing very well. They gave him the best medicines they had, but his condition is still not 100%. But the old lady said that even so, this is impressive. She said that's why she's here to treat this child. The leader said he admires her very much. Her research, but her specialty is healing wounds caused by shy, so there was no other choice but to call her. So the leader faced Pi, or Rio, who was taught by Rio A, and the Pi said, yes, that's correct. And the leader asked, is that all you're going to say to him who shares the same master? Master, this is an offense, but Peer recited a phrase of his. Although we share the same master, you, also my enemy, don't honor him with formal speech, and the leader asked how much he knows about his master to speak like that. Not before that, this one without prudence, without skill, never lasts long, and Pi thought that actually it was his master who taught him this, but the leader said, putting that aside, what reason does he have to disrespect the savior of his life? The PI said, today's ally becomes tomorrow's enemy. Today's enemy becomes tomorrow's ally. These were the lessons that the martial world taught him, and the leader said that if the master were here, he would have disciplined him now. Pi said that he doesn't know exactly what he would have said, but if he were alive, he says no. But Pi doubts that he would get irritated by such words, and the leader asked if Jinsu was dead. Pi said yes, he passed away 8 years ago. The leader said he understood, and that he was informed by Ruya himself that the sword, his predicts the future. How is that possible? But Pi said that his master taught Singh a special heart technique, and he simply mastered it. And it is explained that martial arts are commonly divided into internal techniques and internal and external techniques known as negagong or koigagong, such as example, demonic arts, magong, fire arts, ruagong, thunder arts, neogong, sword arts jeong, fist arts guang, and hand arts sugong. However, some highly enlightened martial artists did not stop there but fused their qi with their mind and spirit to create a new technique. This is called martial art of the mind, or also known as heart technique heart, the sim gong, and the leader asked, wait a minute, Jodinu mastered the heart techniques? Heart, that's new. Pi said no, he didn't master it, he personally created it. The leader asked, wait, you created a heart technique, and what's the name of this technique? Heart technique, and what is the name of this technique? Then Pi showed his eyes and said that the technique of the dragon's eye dragon, and the leader was astonished by this. He didn't even know that a dragon's eye means it's the eye that sees every foundation of every living being, is something almost impossible to achieve life. But Pi said that the technique of the dragon's eye, dragon doesn't create things out of nothing. It simply awakens what is already within them. Only a few born with this gift can truly have their eyes open to this technique. And the leader thought it was a creation of Joinu himself. He even believes in that part. So he asked Pi or Rio to join his sect, and Nad said, so that's why you didn't kill the kid, I found out. And Pi asked, what do you mean, join the cult? The leader said he particularly liked his technique like the dragon's eyes he has, so join the sect. And Pi asked if the place he is in is a cult, and he thought that a cult is a place where anyone who steps on it has high martial skills, and he asked, "Excuse me, Mr. Ndio, where exactly are we?" And Nadia said, "It's true, I forgot to mention where you were, right? It's the Loyang branch of the divine Zumar cult." And P asked, "Wait a minute. The divine clan Zuma, where there are notorious martial artists with demonic abilities. How was your master connected with this type of person?" And he thought, recapping, "Your Yuanyeling, sworn enemy disciple of your master, is a demon of the divine cult, and he is being invited to this cult?" And the leader said that if he joined the sect, at least he would become twice as strong as he is now. Pai said, "That's nonsense. It doesn't matter if he saved his life, he cannot join a demonic sect." The leader said he didn't spare his life, yet he said that the internal injury caused by that attack, if not treated properly, he might not survive a day. But Pai said that even if he dies, he will never serve as a sworn enemy of his master. But the leader said that if he joined, the elder would treat his wounds, and if he didn't accept, then there was no need to prolong his life, right? So he used his demonic aura again, which just by entering the room made the heart and chest of the priest hurt a lot, and, being so weak, he coughed up blood just from that, and he thought that the divine cult of Zhao is the pinnacle of dark martial arts, and he remembered that there was only one time in his life that he met a person from the divine cult of Shuma. And thinking back, it wasn't a very pleasant encounter. He remembered being surrounded by many, many enemies, and he was back to back with another person when the enemies charged at him. He managed to hold his own well. He fought desperately for his life. But the master of the divine cult of Zuma, when they charged at him, killed without mercy, but despite all that blood and brutality, he had a smile on his face the whole time as if had pleasure in killing, and yet in a beautiful way. It was as if it were a dance. He didn't even sweat or pant during that fight. Pai, seeing this, thought his death was inevitable, but he spared his life and said the following words, "He did not have the desire to kill you." And Pin stared at him with his draconic eyes and thought that man's name was Dilsogum. Then he looked back and saw Nadio, and he thought that even Tian himself, all the warriors he encountered along the way were more powerful than the Zogun. And if the Zogun spared his life, what was the chance of him getting out of here alive? And it can be seen that the cult became stronger and stronger over the years, and he thought that nowadays anyone who joined a divine or demonic cult became a great master with a lot of authority. If he stays in this cult, he can also become stronger, and he asked quietly if he is just another martial artist being guided by destiny. And the leader asked what he was talking about, and P said out loud, "Yeah, I'm being guided by destiny, unfortunately or fortunately." P said that if the legendary martial arts manual, Legendary, appeared, they run the risk of death to obtain it, right? And if there is a legendary sword, you can even deceive and betray your friends and family just to get it. And the other martial artist who was there observing everything he said that no one would refuse the leader's proposal. And Pai thought that every martial artist rejects warriors from divine cult of Zumar, and the reason is simple. These people are afraid, and Pierre said he accepts the proposal. He will join the cult, and the leader said that he made a very wise decision, and told the elder that he would leave it with her now, and she said understood, then approached with her scepter, and she said that the wounds caused by the wolf black cannot simply be cured with simple acupuncture, and she said it will be quick. He doesn't need to worry, so she used a technique that made everything shine. Apparently, he was hit by an energy and got scared. But nothing bad happened. In fact, he even felt more relieved. And Ancian said that these matters were complete, she's leaving now, and P turned to thank her for her kindness, but she had already slammed the door in his face. And Pai said he thinks that's magic, right? And the leader said that actually people call it magic, but its an external form is a study dedicated to the left-hand path. And Pai asked, "What do you mean by the left-hand path?" And the leader said that Sansou has surpassed the limits of the left-hand path and is a great master of witchcraft. But Zupi said that the left-hand path is merely a temporary means for those who do not have proper training. He does not believe that one can become so strong like that following this path. And the leader said that the dragon's eyes are not the left path, and Pi said, no, of course not. But the leader said, if that's what you think, fine. But for the leader, it's still the left path. And Pi thought that this is insanity, but in reality, he never stopped to consider it. Could it be that what he's saying is really true, but then the leader simply threw a scroll on the ground and told Pi to worry about it after taking the test? But he asked, What is this paper? The leader said, what about your test? To enter the cult, he has to prove his worth as soon as he reads the scroll. He will naturally understand everything that needs to be done, and Nadia said it's just a simple procedure. Quickly, if he fails, he'll die. Nothing too serious, and Pi asked if they didn't leave him alive. The leader said, okay, now get out. Nadia said that there's no way to talk to the leader like that. Hold on. But P was pushed outside and asked, what's going on all of a sudden? So he opened and read the scroll, and while reading, he realized that this was basically a death sentence, and later, he thought it was exhausting. So later he went to another place, a nearby city that seemed quite busy at this time of night actually, but he went more specifically to the brothel. And Pi thought that the letters were too simple for him to understand what they want him to do is an assassination job. The first condition is that the target must be a member of the White Path in the martial arts world. The second condition is that the target must have a martial title. The cult will never accept a person who falsely claimed to have a title, at least a title. Recognized in Yu Yang, what they call a master who left his mark in the martial world, he himself doesn't even have a title of these. How could he defeat someone who has one? But he noticed that the thighs and knees he was resting his head on started to tremble, and he asked if it's getting numb, right? And the woman said no. He can rest a bit more, and P said it's all good. The noise outside is also not letting him sleep very well, and he asked if her name is… No, it's not. She said yes, and it's very noisy outside today, right? Everyone is here to see the 4 moonflowers, and Pierre said that he was already seeing a beauty in front of him, but these 4 flowers are so captivating. EA said she heard say that they came to see the 9 dragons and the 4 phoenixes too, and Pi recognized this when she mentioned Long Si Feng, the tradition of the White Path, which commits to the younger warriors, male dragons, female phoenixes. Future leaders of each sect, 9 male masters, 4 female masters. Although currently they are just titles acquired through family influence, they are conveniently in Li. He thought that it shouldn't be a coincidence that the cult wants him to kill one of those people. But AA turned to him and thanked him for having called her beautiful like that. Then she smiled at him. He felt embarrassed. And she asked if he had never seen the 4 flowers of Luang, right? They say the rival is the number 1 beauty of Luang. And P asked, number 1 beauty? And she said that men are obsessed with pretty faces. The number 1 beauty of Luang is part of the northern clan of Luang. Lua Yang, even if someone doesn't know the 4 flowers, no one in the Central Plains would be unaware of the number 1 beauty. 1. Her fame spreads throughout the kingdom, and they say her younger sister is equally beautiful. And Pi thought, 9 dragons, 4 phoenixes, never before dragons and phoenixes exceeded 10 in number, and since 3 embarked on the martial journey, it means there are more than necessary. Which is why the cult, demonic, must be worried about the future, which is why they assigned him a mission of take it or leave it. However, he doesn't have to follow exactly the thoughts of the cult leader. He's a bit impulsive, but then he asked, Ya, where is this so-called beauty you mentioned? And it is explained about the Yuanglongyiwu clan, a family born from royal lineages that unite with martial arts. Their history extends beyond recorded memory. They govern effectively the north of Li in terms of influence rival the 5 great families of the Central Plain, but he thought the place was a bit run down for getting information. But an old man on the way asked what he needed, and the Pi just apologized for bothering. And the old man asked if he was a stranger. Seemed like someone from the beggars sect. but the beggars sect hasn't had such a presence here, and Pi was shocked by what he said, and the old man asked if he didn't know, so why are you here in the underworld? Then Pi looked around to see if there was anyone else and said he needed information about Kanglong. The old man asked if he had money. Pi said no, but asked if he wanted to see someone dead. The old man said that was good. He likes martial artists just like him and said, "All right, what do you want to know?" And Pi wants know when the greatest beauty of the clan leaves there, the time she leaves, and the old man asked if he would use the celestial pulse. But of course, Pi didn't know what that was, and he is really an idiot, isn't he, the beauty? Number 1 is a celestial pulse, but Pi asked, "I know, but what does that mean?" But the old man stood up and said, "What an unbelievable idiot. He asked that because he's in love with her looks," and Pi said no, never even saw her face before. But then the old man shouted for his boys to take out the trash, and many warriors appeared surrounding Pi, so he was about to react by drawing his sword. But he realized he was without his sword, and he remembered that moment when he got hit hard in the duel and said, "Oh, right, I lost my sword at that moment, didn't I?" And Pi said, "All right, you started this, I won't show mercy." Then, after a long time of beating, everyone was defeated. Only one was left, and he shouted, "Please spare me." And he was holding a sword, and Pi said, "Look at this, it seems like I can actually use it." Then the guy dropped the sword and ran away in fear, and Pi knew sword and said that this won't take long, so he threatened the old man who tried to kill him. And Pi said not another word. He will only provide information about beauty number 1 and nothing more, and apparently the pulse Yi. Celestial are those overflowing energies that rarely live more than 20 years. And Pit was there at night maybe waiting for her to come out and thought that to prolong the lifespan of someone with a divine pulse, these people must harmonize with the full moon. And these are the secret moments that the Honglong clan guards, and Pi thought that these opponents should not be underestimated. He is also not someone who excels in martial arts, and he remembered those phrases. If the legendary manual appears, we seek it knowing that it can kill us. And for a legendary sword, legendary would betray even relatives and friends. And soon he prepared for battle, thinking that all he had to do was survive and get stronger. Then he ran towards the guards who asked who he was, and of course they alarmed and drew their swords. The first blocked Pi's strike, but he prepared a thrust, expecting that the sword fell, but the guy managed to block it and keep his sword in hand, and Pi asked, "What do you mean?" And the other guards took advantage of that opening to get closer as well. Soon he was surrounded and flanked, and when they all attacked him at the same time, he thought that this isn't going to end well, but he jumped to dodge the attacks and taking advantage of that momentum. He charged at that one who was already blocking his attack. He kicked each one of them in the face who was surrounding him, and instead of simply removing the block from that guy, he started pushing him with his own sword while the other guard approached. Pi gave a real punch, which made the first guard fall on top of the second one who appeared, but Pi sensed a lot of energy approaching him. It was like bursts of energy, and he thought that this technique would be annoying to deal with. He dodged by, crouching down, but despite dodging, his hair got a bit cut. However, he quickly composed himself and went quickly in the direction of the guards who were using these techniques that, again, fired energy beams, and he thought that this energy is so annoying, but managed to dodge it easily. And Piu himself not having internal energy is a pain, but at least it reveals the enemy's weak points, and he has already stabbed the stomach of the first and the second tried to attack him, but Pi counterattacked and killed him too. When he turned around, there was a last one charging at him. The blows were quick, but Pi was quicker, and Pi thought that this guard is strong and he wants to see more power. Will he liven up this fight a bit? And Pi said that only now, after two of them have died, are they using real martial arts. Now it's getting interesting. And he said he will wait for your opening while was still dodging. Pi thought that the infinite internal energy, the opening would come when the internal energy of this guard will end, because the consumption is very high. He is getting breathless and dizzy, and Pi thought he would finish him off after of this blow. Now is the time. Behind this blow, there is no internal energy, so simply with his fist he dodged the sword and plunged his into the guard's belly. And his last words were that if only he had a little more internal energy, maybe she wouldn't have died. And the other one was desperate, crying and telling Pi not to get closer, but soon he was decapitated too. Not that Pi liked doing it much, but it's his mission, isn't it? And he asked why she hadn't run away yet. And the number one beauty in the carriage said it was because had to see him die too. Pi said that she trusts the guards a lot, but they were useless. She could have, having called for reinforcements. But Beauty said they were loyal warriors. And Pi said that if they are loyal and weak, they are not useful. Are useful, he said. You can leave. It's over. When the carriage opened, a woman stepped out, and there was the Beauty. Number one of the Huanggong clan, and Pi asked why she didn't run, and she said she had lived her whole life waiting for death. She's already tired of running. She's not afraid of death. So she confronted Pew with a hard look, but he really thought she was quite beautiful. He now understood the reason for her title, and he was looking at her body. Thought it was hard to resist, so she got quite close and asked if he was after her body too. He thought, oh, forget it, those vulgar thoughts in my head. So he simply killed her, and he thanked, your mind is clearer now. And when her body fell silently, he thought he had killed the most precious child of the Huanglong clan. He needs to return to the sect as soon as possible, but someone appeared behind him and told him not to move. And this woman was already holding a knife, and Pi thought that even with the dragon's eyes couldn't perceive any movement. But the assassin first congratulated him for joining the demonic cult, and Pi asked if he was an assassin of the cult too, right? And she said yes, her name is Orchid. And asked if he was a bit scared, he said, hold on there, Mr. Itapi. Take it easy, chill out. And Orchid said that this is the next order of the cult, so he simply charged at him and gave him a big kiss, and he asked, what the you is this? And she said that he is so juvenile falling for such an old trick like that, and clearly he was poisoned because he fell very weak, and Orchid said he did a good job right in her heart, and she said, okay, we have little time, so I'm going to explain it to you. Listen carefully. She said he was training here when the guards showed up. Wanted a fight, attacked him for no reason, and he fought back. Okay, that's what happened, and Pi, coming to, asked what they were planning. Then, shortly after, he was woken up with water in his face, and the guard asked if he was back to his senses. And he was surrounded by many other Long Clan guards, and the guy asked where his sister was of him, and then kicked Pi in the stomach, and Pi asked who his sister was, and he said that his sister is Jin Suelin, the number one beauty of Luang. Pi then asked if he is the Golden Dragon, and the man bent down and said that clearly knows what he's talking about, right? If he tells everything he knows, his death will be quick. Did he really think would get away with it after brutally killing several clan guards, especially since his sister disappeared and she was in the middle of marriage negotiations, and Pi thought, wait a minute, did the demonic cult only take her body of her, but why did the cult leave him behind? Then he remembered what the Orchid explained for him and everything he should say, and Pi said he really doesn't know anything, and the Golden Dragon said, no problem, he'll make him remember. So later, in the Huanglong clan, Pidge was already in another room, all beaten up. Beaten, and he was in front of the leader of the Hoglong clan, and the leader of the demonic sect, and the leader of the demonic cult asked why they had imprisoned his boy for no reason at all. The Golden Dragon said it wasn't for no reason. He killed clan warriors and his sister. But the clan leader said to listen to the story first, and the cult leader said, it's P, explain. And P said he was training at night in the place he always goes and encountered the warriors. From the Honglong clan, he was just training and asked them to understand. But then they suddenly attacked him. He had no other choice but to defend himself. Another choice but to defend himself. And the cult leader asked if he knew anything about number one beauty, and Pi said no. He had never seen her in his life, and the cult leader said it all seemed like a big misunderstanding by chance. Do they have any evidence of what they are saying? The clan leader said yes, there are 4 witnesses. The cult leader said, no, no physical evidence because all your witnesses are on your side. Then it's easy to talk, isn't it? And the clan leader really ran out of arguments at that moment. The golden dragon was not happy at all. And the leader of the cult continued saying that he respects him and his clan very much even though they are on the demonic path. This kind of things, there has to be a reason behind it. And the clan leader asked if he is teaching that there is no reason for them to be here with the hand of black mist, and the cult leader said, "Well, since you remember my title, you know what it's capable of, don't you?" Is? And the clan leader got very angry, asking if he was being threatened in his own home, if he wanted a duel. To the death, just say so. But the cult leader only said to stop, asked for your Rui to appear, and the cult leader said that a duel to the death between them would result in the extinction of one of the two, either the clan or the cult. So they can use representatives. What does he think about that? And the cult leader said he bets on him. The future of the clan could he face your boy, and he told his father to accept this duel. He will prove the honor of the Hanglong clan Hanglong. But the clan leader said he has no interest in that, because why would he accept such a proposal? The cult leader said that it's simple. If they lost the duel, they would not only retreat but also find the greatest beauty of Luoyang. However, if he win, they take Pai back to the cult, and the clan leader said he accepts, and his son said he won't disappoint him, and Kion said, "Follow me, Golden Dragon." And the dragon said he would deal with Pai when he returned. But Pai already knew the outcome of it all, so while the two stayed at the table brewing tea to drink, the duel happened outside, increasingly brutal blows. But of course there was a winner, and who returned was Kion, covered in the blood of the Golden Dragon. He walked and calmly placed the Golden Dragon's head on the table. Of course, the entire clan was very shocked by this, and the cult leader said that by the command of Nadio P, the clan leader will return to the cult. The clan leader was completely desperate and terrified, and Nadio said, "Yes, master." But of course, everyone in the clan revolted so much that they drew their swords. But the clan leader Hoglong said that it was enough and to let them go. So they left with Pai and the clan leader. Clan was staring at his son's head. So later at the demonic cult, Pai asked if it was Senior Ind who was there with him. Ind, who is here with him, and she congratulated him for being the newest member of the demonic cult, and Pai asked how long he had been unconscious. She said an entire day had passed, and Pai said that time flies here, huh? Most of the time he had been here. He had been unconscious. And the old lady said that there is time he was here. He was unconscious, and every time he saw her face, and the old lady said she has things to do now, so she will leave, and simply walked away without saying anything else. Then Nadio passed by her, who had a somewhat strange. He asked if something happened, and Pai asked, "Oh, Master Endio, what are you doing here?" There's something important to say, but he asked, "Wait a minute, are you training without even eating first?" The Pial, who was just gathering his thoughts, said that it's still training, and Pai said, "Good, I thought so, and good." That he came, he has questions to ask, and Nadia asked what exactly he wants to know, and Pai said that as soon as he completed the mission, he was unconscious and placed in a trap on purpose. What kind of plan was that? And Nadio asked, Wait, didn't anyone tell you this would happen? Didn't they warn you that this would happen?" And Pai said no one informed him of anything. It was supposed to be done. Nadio asked, "So why did he exactly kill the #1 beauty after getting information about her?" Pai said it was because she was the target of the mission. Nadia asked, "Wait, was she the target?" Well, it seems there was an interesting twist. Nadia said that actually, Seor was supposed to give detailed mission orders to him, but when she realized that the target was the #1 beauty of Lu, she didn't make contact. Then Pen remembered that embarrassment that happened when he woke up and realized that was the reason. But he said that anyway, the first scroll he received had a code that said, kill any of the martial artists with titles. So why did an additional sudden mission appear, thus making the number 1 beauty the target? N said that when they found out he was investigating the Arglong clan, they thought that the target was actually the Golden Dragon and Lo Yangang. Where this clan remained strong, they thought he was an idiot trying to kill the Golden Dragon, seemed like a child who couldn't give up his recklessness, so they planned to use him as a disposable pawn, and Pai asked if he really was like that. In this story, Nadia said they didn't expect him to do that with the number 1 beauty. They thought there were no other targets besides the 9 dragons and 4 phoenixes. Originally planned to assassinate some of them through the Hall of the cult's demonic ancestors, the cult decided that 9 dragons were too many and planned to eliminate about 3 of them, one of which was the Golden Dragon, so sent a cult assassin while the Golden Dragon was touring the Central Plains. The first failure was understandable, but something was wrong. The assassination of the Golden Dragon failed 3 times, and they said he became incredibly stronger with each assassination attempt. It seems that his hidden abilities were much greater than the public knew. The Golden Dragon became arrogant, delighting in the feeling of being a hero after repelling so many assassinations. But Pai asked if Kion killed the Golden Dragon with ease, until Nad said that the duel against him was quite quick. He seems weak, but he is a master who could kill the Golden Dragon in less than 2 seconds, and Pai said it's true. Thinking about it, both were very skilled, but Nadia said that in any case the assassination failed 3 times, and touching the Golden Dragon in Luang would mean total war against the clan, and Pai said that the truth is if the Lord of the Sword of Roglong had resented the death of his son, it would have been a war, but Nod said that this didn't happen because it was decided this way. It's a story that's quite common. Esteemed Lord of the Sword of Raglong felt a strange jealousy and pressure from the rapid growth of the Golden Dragon and the loyal wife of the sword. Lord of Raglong was not a very virtuous woman, and the child between them was not of the Lord of the Sword of Roglong, and their sex branch has various information like this based on these information. The cult leader is the one who paints the overall picture and plans everything, and Nadia asked if he met the orchid. Pai said yes, it was a very surprising meeting, and Nad said it's good that he avoids getting involved with her as much as possible. The 4 flowers of Lu are the people he needs to stay away from the most in this place. The orchid is apparently their leader and told Pai to rest, he will need it, and Pai asked what that means, but then he ran to call Nadio and asked if the 4 flowers are targets he has to avoid, and in the hallway, he ran to call Nadio and asked about the 4 flowers being targets he had to avoid, and in the hallway, he ran into Dil Sogum, that guy who spared his life one day, and Sogum said, "It's been a while, hasn't it?" And Pai asked why he was there, and Di Sogum asked if he still remembered him, right? Pew said he knew he was member of the divine demonic cult, but not exactly this sect here. Sogum said he was away taking care of business, so when he heard that he was here, he came to find him. But after so much time, he is fine. Pai said that, well, let me see then. He took off his bandages and said that apparently, yes, he is fully recovered. He was even getting restless from being stuck in that room, and Sogan said he recovers quickly, huh? So maybe he want to go to the training center with him? There are people waiting for him. And Pai asked, why are they waiting for him? So later in the cult training fields, Pai said there were people waiting for him, but there isn't a living soul here, except that Sogum stepped in front of him, grabbed one of the wooden swords and said that this one was serving, and clearly he prepared for a fight against Pai. He had already activated his dragon eyes and saw that energy blast that almost hit him. But when it hit the back of the training center, it caused a huge explosion, and Zogum just gave a smirk, and Pai understood right away and also went to get a sword, and Pai said that his way of asking for a duel is quite unique. It's not, Sogan said it's his personality. So both were already prepared for the duel. After a long moment of silence and, of course, many stares, the two just laughed a lot, and Sogum said that no one prefers the first attack never, right? But Sogan said that Pier hasn't learned demonic arts yet, so he won't use his ghost sword because his ghost doesn't stop until it kills the target. And Pai asked, "Ghost?" And Sogum said, "Yes, of course." And Pi asked if that ghost happens to be a woman. Sogum said it was just his personality. So he charged at P and he apologized. With that, he thought that the dragon's eyes analyzed the sword's path, so he easily dodged those blows. He thought that abandoning the sword was a way to escaping is not a very appropriate solution for the dragon's eye, but he preferred not to, so he managed to dodge with his own body. But Sogum was prepared and changed the trajectory of the sword. He narrowly dodged that blow. But Sogun didn't give up and used a demonic blast too, which would have hit Pi squarely in the stomach. But the demonic eyes would never let that happen. So he made a maneuver and dodged it as well. And Sogum almost got kicked to be thrown, and after Pi returned to his place, that energy blast had made a big cut in the stone, and Pi gave a little smile as if he was enjoying this fight. He said it was now his turn, and told Sogon to try to track his attacks too, but Sogon easily managed to block the first one, and his sword really seemed stronger, and Pew, the dragon, looked to see what was happening. Sogun was still using that demonic technique, and P realized it was Sogun's own internal energy, flowing through his sword, which is why he dodged with everything he had, rolling on the ground, and Sogum said that it is. The first time he sees someone defending their power so perfectly like that, and Peer thought that if he hadn't rolled on the ground, really doesn't know, shook the kid. The First Division does everything. Everything. They take care of all kinds of orders, and Pi asked what that means. He was one of the first members, so he knows well. It can be boring with nothing to do. So suddenly he comes up with something like he's going to kill a guy who has a super Shichiruin. Title? Goes there to start a fire in a Kaolin temple? I don't know, whatever. The most annoying part was when they told him to kill Bingok in the North Sea. They told him to go there, and it happened that the lady of the ice palace of the North Sea, that damned woman, stopped being concubine to this position, and it took 2 months just to get close to her. The guy had to infiltrate, he had to almost marry the woman, and Pi said, "Calm down, Nadio." Then he composed himself and said that after dealing with this, the heir of the palace of the ice of the North Sea died from false accusations, and the new holder of power began to listen to the celestial demon cult. Rumors say that he even delivered the essence of ice, the sacred treasure of the palace. If he were to steal the essence of ice directly, he might have to abandon the demonic arts and start to learn ice techniques from scratch. Well, anyway, the First Division is not for everyone, and Pi said that hopes that this is not the case for him either. So he was following some instructions to get to a certain place. Specific. Apparently, this is his new room, and when he entered, he said it was a nice room. But there was a woman there who, when he saw her, got startled. He thought he hadn't felt her presence. Even the maids here have stealth techniques. Or he said that he's in the wrong room, and the woman said no. This is the room for Master Pi. But Pi asked who she is, one of the 4 flowers, and she nodded her head. But why is a master like her here like a servant? She said she was ordered to come here to take care of him. And Pi thought, oh, to keep an eye on me, right? And he thought that even with the dragon's eyes, it's hard to say how much skill she has, but just looking at him and feeling his presence, you can see that he is not just anyone. So it's a kind of meeting with the Second Division. The Second Division is more focused in murders, right? And he thought that at this rate, the cult would end up eliminating him at any moment. Then there was an awkward silence. Someone opened the door and Sue asked if he liked his new room, and P welcomed the leader of the First Division, but then one of the 4 flowers that was there bowed and left the room. But Pi asked her name and she simply said D and disappeared. Then Sue took a quick look and asked if this sword here is his, right? And P remembered the moment he lost it, but said yes, it is his sword. Then he took a closer look and thought something strange was happening, right? And Sue said that Cho apologized. Apologies to him. Everything touched by the wolf of darkness dies, whether it's human flesh or the spirit of a sword, and they said they restored his sword as much as possible. But the spirit that was in it died, and he sighed and said, "Oh, what can you do?" But he prefers that at least the domination of harmony has ended, and Sue said that he abandoned a living sword for a dead one. Pi said yes, he does it deliberately from time to time, and Sue said it must be interesting to duel against him, and Pi said, why wouldn't it be good? Sue said that of course yes, but then he took some books from his cloak and said they could duel but only after he learned this here, and Pi asked if they are martial arts. Sue said yes. This here is the book of the laws of the celestial demonic cult, and the second book is the basics of the Lie branch. It has all the details he needs, but he asked, and how much is the third book? Sue said it's the map of the Luang branch. He wanted to bring the map of internal energy too, but the cult leader said not for now, and P thanked him for that. At least Sue said he didn't need to. To thank is like it was his homework, but of course he didn't come just for that. He has a new order, and Pierre thought he didn't even have time to breathe properly and asked, what's the next mission? Oh, Sue said it is. Simple to bring 2 treasures from the Roglong clan back to the branch, and Pi asked, what treasures are those specifically? Specifically? Sue said that this is not the answer he should be looking for unless he wanted a fight to the death against he, and Pi said, oh, okay, I got it, confidential. And Sue said that over time he will get used to it, and he said that he himself also doesn't care much about these cult procedures, but if he doesn't do them, they'll keep bothering on his back, and Pi said he would keep that in mind, and Sue said that everyone in the cult is very strict like that. Lucky he got him, huh? If he doesn't understand it the first time, he'll have to learn the hard way. It's no wonder this cult is called demonic. Then it is explained about the magical squadron of the demonic dragon Yang, which is like the unit of intelligence of the celestial demonic cult, led by the elder Samuo, known as the demonic brain. Extremely evil is a direct unit under the cult leader, responding only to his commands and not affiliated with any other group, and P was walking there but said that this path is very complicated, so he entered a room and asked where he was. Man, then he felt someone's presence behind him, and it was the Dilha, and Pi said that her technique is really good and asked if she had been following him the whole time. Said yes, and Pi mentioned that he had some business to attend to at the major squad, but he got lost on the way. So Yuha took him to the major squad, and he thanked her very much for that, but he asked, when did she disappeared? He didn't notice any signs of hiding, and as he thought, not even his demonic gaze works. But he brushed it off and entered the squadron, and the man inside said he is much ruder than he seems. How does he open the door like that without even knocking? And Pi apologized profusely. He just looked a bit confused, and Pi said he came to request information for a mission the squadron leader gave, and he said he had already memorized your name. And Pi said yes, since it is an important person who will need favors several times. But Ro said health. But Ro said health again. But Ro said that at this point, there isn't much to tell him. The current Lord of the Sword, Raglong, Jin Padden, has disappeared. If he to the north gate of the city now, there will be an informant who will give specific instructions about what he has to do, and Pi knows very well who that is. That guy is the father of the Golden Dragon. He disappeared, and Rawati said that besides that, 2 hours ago, the Lord of the Divine Object Divine was looking for him, and Pi would receive requests soon and said he would be at the main gate waiting for him. And Pi asked, wait, the Lord of the Divine Object? The Ratu asked if he doesn't even know about this. He who possesses the divine object of the demonic cult, and Pip thought, okay, I could deduce that, right? He just doesn't know what the hell is the divine object, so later at the cult, the Pia looked lazy but was heading to the main gate, and the guy who was there said that he doesn't look like a member of the demonic cult, but he must be P or Rio, right? So P took a look at him and asked who exactly he was, and he introduced himself as the Lord of the Object Divine. And Pi said that it's true he heard there were matters to discuss with him, and the Lord of the Divine Object said it's nothing special, just going to follow him around, and Pi said he should refuse it. But the Lord said he doesn't need his permission. He's just following orders, and Pi said, orders from whom? Lord said specifically from the cult leader. Then Pi asked, "Then they asked you to help him?" And the Lord said, "No, no, no, not help, just follow." And P wondered, "What a strange thing is this? Weird, is that?" The Lord couldn't say either, but Pi analyzed him with his draconic eyes and said he hopes that the Lord understands that he doesn't trust him very much, and he said he will go to the North Gate to meet the informant of his mission and will take a shortcut to get there. And the Lord said that as the leader of the first squadron, he could help him with that. And Pi asked if he was also from the first squadron, so later at a small restaurant, Pi and the Lord of the Divine Object were eating a bit, and the Lord said that Pi seems like a person with few suspicions, because he not only believed that he was the Lord of the Divine Object, Divine First Class, and is also eating food at an inn he recommended, and if the food had poisoned. But Pi said that the way he's talking, he'll assume there's no poison, right? But Lord said that a martial artist shouldn't act this way without any suspicion towards anyone. And Lord said that, to be honest, he thinks he's an idiot because that the cult leader accepted someone like him. But Pi asked if he thinks there is someone else here, another presence, and Lord was even shocked and said, "Is it one of the 4 flowers?" Pi said, "Yes, specifically, Juha," and the Lord said he has been on many missions with that woman. She is one of the 6 assassins of the second squad that can act independently, and Piv said he is sure he saw her leaving with the Lord. At the time, they left the service, probably acting together with the leader or him. This does not confirm that he is really the Lord of the Divine Object, and the Lord said he heard a lot about him. A child with good eyes. But to him, he is just a treacherous fox. But Pi asked what exactly his name is, but the Lord said it can only be the Lord of the Divine Object, and Pi asked if the Divine Object is so important that it even overrides his identity. The Lord said of course. When a member of the demonic cult puts their hands on the Divine Object, they cannot have any other identity besides Lord Rad of the Divine Object, and said that if he is too curious, he should just take a look at the cult's Book of Laws, Demonic, especially the part about the leader. But at the moment he was about to speak, the Lord simply pulled Pi away, because they were almost hit by something, but specifically a kunai, a shadowless kunai. Of the 3 great secret weapons of the martial world, and Pi said it was the first time he had seen one of those, and the Lord of the Object said that the leader told him to stay by Pi's side and also counterattack anyone who tried assassinate him, and Pi thought that the leader used him as bait. He didn't say earlier that he couldn't provide information about the mission, but Lobedo said it was because he didn't know he would be dealing with this kind of people. It seems he will have to help Pi in the end, and Pi said that this is dangerous, so the Lord of the Object saved him again from another attack. But unfortunately for the poor man who was hit sideways, he was killed right there on the spot, and the Lord of the Object said that this is shadowless sand. It really lives up to its name, and he said that usually people who use this type of weapon, they use 2 together and easily control the position they can go to. It's like a floating sword technique. Floating sword, and those who use this kind of thing are at the pinnacle of the skills of the shadowless, and Pi thought that for sure this trajectory was manipulated, a hit, a death, and Pi asked if there was any way to predict the position, and the Lord of the Object said that shadowless sand is also a divine object that makes movement controllable and fluid. In fact, they were very lucky not to have died until now. Dodging that was pure luck, and he said for Pi to keep his eyes peeled. Now they just need to wait a little longer, and Pi thought that the shadowless are also undetectable, but if they can buy more time, Dia will appear, and at that moment the 2 daggers were pulled back to their host, and Pi managed to predict this attack and dodged with his sword, and the Lord of the Object said he was impressed that he saw that. He didn't know that draconic eyes were so good. Pi said that actually he didn't see it. He just followed the path that was going. The path of the sword, but the Lord said that even so it's very difficult to know the sword path of this ability, but Pi said that his eyes can clearly see the entire blade's path. The Lord of the Object said that if he can block, it's great. He can focus on just one of the daggers, but at the moment that when he said that one was right in his direction, but the movement veered so that it hit perfectly on the Lord of the Object, and he said, "Lord, duck." And with that, he managed to deflect the kunai with his sword, and the Lord of the Object deflected the second. But still, the vibration of the metal made him feel bad, but it made him see the path of the sword that is being guided. He noticed that the kunai was heading straight for the Lord's neck, and he prepared himself and with a kick managed to dodge that kunai to the ceiling, and someone shouted that this is impossible, and it was the person who was trying to kill them. So he pulled out the sokunai again and asked how he deflected it. This, but someone appeared behind him and said that if he did not calm down, he would die. And of course it was Juha, and Juha asked why he specifically attacked Pai and the Lord of the Object. And the assassin asked if she knows which is the weakness of those who use hidden swords. As you know, it's close combat. And he said it's all the fault of the Tang sect that ended the hidden sword sect were discarded as if they were tools. But to overcome this weakness, they created the Pavilion of the Shadowless, a new sect, and now also can use hand-to-hand combat. But Gio managed to land a small superficial blow on the assassin, but he also retaliated. Yoha had to dodge, because if she got hit, it would be a big problem. So they continued this fight for a good while, and despite already dodging, she was being cornered and found herself with no way out. That's why she had to jump off the mezzanine. But the killer used other tools to pursue her, his knives, and when Era was about to be hit, Pai and the Lord of the Object defended her, and the assassin realized that the wound was deeper than he thought, and he said to Pai, "It's good that you always stay in the company of this woman. Any moment alone, his neck will be cut." But the Lord of the Object charged at the assassin too, and he was almost caught and realized that he had to escape and did so through the window. But the Lord of the Object did not intend to give up. And Pai asked if he can handle it on his own, and the Lord said yes, that's his duty, and jumped through the window chasing the assassin. And later the other two returned to the city, of course, more vigilant than ever because of the attempt of assassination. And Dai thought that Pai had just survived an assassination attempt but is not even a little tense. Battles that risk his life are part of his daily routine, or does he have a very strong mental fortitude? What kind of life this kid lived, she wondered, and Pai asked if they went to a public place to not make it easier. The life of the killer, right? Yoha said yes, she thought about it, but it was also to complete the mission. That's why I followed him, so she hopes he understands. But Pai said that, by the way, the demonic cult always carries out missions in such an independent way. Dira said that not only the first squadron, but Pai said that even for the first squadron, they use each other to achieve their goals. And Joe asked, "Why do you think you're following him?" And Pai thought, "To monitor him, right?" Obviously, the absolute rule of the cult says nothing about loyalty, which is why skilled fighters who are not born into the demonic path are always used and discarded, and Pai thought discarded is not him. He remembered that moment of Golden Dragon saying that if he provided his information he would have a painless death, and she asked if he didn't join the demonic cult just for that, to gain more powerful martial arts. Many are interested in the young Master Pai because of the recent life-or-death battle he had, otherwise no one would care. Common for new members to die within a month after signing up. Pai then asked if she thinks he will be used again. Then the doctor turned without answering, and Pai thought that all he had to do was survive. So later at the North Gate, P met with the informant, and they walked through the forest and he asked if this is the meeting point. Wasn't it exactly the same place where he killed Luong's first beauty? He recognized this cliff, but then Nadia was already there waiting for him. And Pai asked, "Wait a minute, why is the first beauty still alive, standing there?" First beauty is alive, standing there? And Edha asked what he was talking about. Pai asked how she. So she approached and asked if she was alive, and Nad said it was true. He hit her right in the heart, didn't he? But this is Miss Minai's job, and the first beauty said that soon he will understand. Soon the mission will begin later. It will be explained, and Nadia said to give him the information, you see, and he left saying he would join them, and the orchid asked if Pi was okay, but Pi was staring at the woman and said, "Yeah, he's fine." And the orchid asked if she could pass the mission, but Pi wanted to understand the situation better first, and the orchid said that the Huanglong clan was temporarily sealed. "You've heard about what happened to the Swordmaster over there, right?" Pi said yes, missing, and the orchid said that the reason is to find his daughter, and Pi said precisely the number one beauty of Luoyang, right? But still, the old man abandoned her, and now he's looking for her. The orchid said that not only that, he knows she's here, and is on the way. Pi said it's strange. They can't understand this guy's thinking anyway. In fact, he doesn't understand anyone's thoughts in this cult either. Orchid said it's understandable, but Orchid said that he was in a state of key deviation. And, of course, Pi doesn't know what that is because he doesn't know what anything is, but of course, it's just an excuse to explain to the person reading that the orchid said a martial artist along with the swordmaster Hang Long, with pure and powerful internal energy, went so crazy that he suspected his wife and order, and of course he was deeply shaken by the death of his son and daughter. But this shock and despair suddenly turned into a kind of enlightenment for him when his pure internal energy flowed through his mind, and meridians that had been cultivated by the demonic energy of the Deskio of K. They said he reached the realm of harmony, and Pi asked, "Realm of harmony, the level of a transcendent by K's deviation, this is nonsense." But the orchid said yes according with the MIO squad, and it is explained that harmony is referenced as becoming divine or transcendent when the master achieves supreme enlightenment. The boundaries between the external and internal universe disappear. The master becomes one with the nature and possesses inexhaustible internal energy through complete physical and mental transformation. The human limitations of the body and mind are completely transcended. The most well-known of this is the immortal liam of the sword Wang, and if the sword master Huang Long became the master of the realm of harmony, it means the birth of one of the most powerful martial artists in the world is an event that will shake the entire martial world. And the orchid said that this way the Honglong clan will not be influential only in Luoyang, but in all the provinces, even in the Central Plains. P said then that they want to kill him before that happens, right? The orchid said yes, the sword of Hanglong that scalped from the mana diversion and reached transcendence. Now he's obsessed with the number one beauty of Luoyang and is trying to regain his honor for what he did under demonic influence. So the cult leader said to eliminate him while he has not yet entered the realm of harmony. This was decided urgently at the last minute. So there is, and a lot to prepare still, and the Four Flowers have a job to do, so she will leave too, but specifically to get in touch with the Redise Terra, and Pi asked if they will really reach that point, but the orchid said they have to help him. Also, he took the leader his words to read to him, and Pi said, "Please read." The orders are, use the beauty number 1 as bait to attract the attention of the swordmaster Honglong, but under no circumstances let her be harmed. She will be the core and bait for the Altera network, and if the swordmaster dies, you must bring the sword back to the cult. That's all. And Pi thought, the sword and beauty number 1, the two great treasures of the clan. And P said understood even though he was very scared. And the orchid before leaving wished him good luck because he would need it. And P asked if the leader knows that he hasn't learned movement techniques yet. How is he going to make that bait? And if he fails the task that was given to him, and if beauty number 1 survives, and even more if she is really alive at this point, so later in the forest. There, he was gathering internal energy until he felt a very overwhelming presence approaching. It was like a large ember, and he thought he knew very well who it was. And one of subordinates of Honglong asked if he is Pi who sent the letter, right? And he didn't look like a good friend, and the Pi thought that this wasn't the Golden Dragon, right? It's someone else. Calm down, this is Lord Hanglong, and Pi said yes. He was the one who sent the letter, and the Lord said that seeing they brought Rena here, it seems something happened with them, right? Pai said yes, he lost a large part of his internal energy as punishment for a mission that he failed. Because of that, he betrayed the demonic cult and brought her here. He wants revenge because of his mission. Failing was the one who killed the golden dragon. It was because of him that there was no success. That's why he wants revenge, and the Lord said that indeed he has the physique of a martial artist but lacks internal energy, and Pai said that he came here to beg for your help. He betrayed the demonic cult, meaning if he leaves here, he's dead too. His only wish is to see Tiao, your enemy, dead, and the Lord remembered it was this man who killed his son, the golden dragon, not him. Doesn't understand why Pai came here with such goodwill, but Pai said that if he had gone through what he went through, would do the same, even if it means reconciling with the demonic cult after this is over, he said. To make sure to kill the Lord, said that Pai is quite scary, isn't he? And Pai said, yes, that's the power of his revenge. So the Lord Raglong stared at him for a moment, looked around, and looking at Rena, he realized that the K and her blood are blocked and the harmonies practically unbalanced. Something happened. Pai said no, when leaving the cult she was fine, but it seems that her ki and blood were gradually blocked. Maybe a sealing technique from sealing of the demonic cult. Lord Raglong might be able to reverse it, but he asked who exactly did it. That Pai said she was imprisoned in the north when she first saw it, it was already sealed. The Lord then asked if she's going to die anyway, his efforts will be in vain. But the Lord picked Rena up on his back and said to leave. He said she was captured in the north, right? So lead the way. He senses many presences to the north, and now that Rena disappeared, maybe they are looking for her, so he wants to make it clear that he is with him. But Pai said that it's dangerous. The elite of the demonic cult might come after him. It's impossible to deal with all of them alone, especially carrying a woman on his back. But the Lord said if that's what they will see, even on the way. The Lord said that this forest is frighteningly silent. The people have spread out more densely than he expected. Not even animals are passing by. Birds, insects, are they hiding their presence lurking in this forest? And Pai said he heard say that they were going to set up a net if intruders appeared. It seems they know that they came here, but the Lord said not to worry. He will ask Commander Keltera, and he wants to know the whereabouts of the one who sealed Rena. That's why he intends to go to the center of the energy. Altera. Pai asked if there is any way to break this network, and Lord Honglong said that he has reached the realm of harmony. His internal and external energy are unlimited. He can see what was invisible, hear what was inaudible, and feel what was imperceptible. And he knows that even the Altera network cannot harm him. And Pai, annoyed, asked what exactly he means by that the Lord said that this means his effortless domination surpasses the net earth even while carrying Rena on his backpack. Is this being too arrogant? But soon, Pai will see the truth. Let's see who is more arrogant, him or the cult leader, and Pai said he's eager to witness his power, but he said he can't guarantee that he sees nothing. Maybe he'll die, right? But then I felt a presence and drew his sword. Saying to watch closely, the sword floated into his hand and used the illumination. He made a cut so powerful that could be seen from outside the forest, and he cut one of the trees that was right in front, revealing 3 assassins, and the Lord said, "Only 3? That's strange." But the 3 attacked at the same time, Lord Runglong combining their abilities into a great destructive front. But even with the Rena on his back, he prepared his skill and smashed everything with ease, but the assassins took advantage of the gap to get closer, and the Lord remained super calm and he used his protective ki, and when they hit that shield, the assassins were thrown far away, and Pai said not to hurt the number 1 beauty, but it seems that Lord himself is protecting her with mastery, and he used all that power carrying a woman on his back, but those assassins really weren't the unique, and who was there specifically was Nigo himself, who used demonic techniques against the Lord, and the Lord asked if he was the one who sealed Rena, right? But Nigel simply sighed and said he did a great favor bringing Rena directly to him, but the Lord asked again, was it him who sealed her? No. The Nade said he wasn't sure. Certainty, your old young man, and charged with his dual blade technique. Despite that, the Lord, with his illumination, held up well against that blow, and Pai thought that even using such a powerful protection technique, the Lord still has enough internal energy to face Nidio, and was handling it very well to the point that Nidio had to retract his blade, and when he tried to attack with the other, the Lord thought that there was no way to dodge without causing damage to Rina, then made him hit his own shoulder, and Nider used the K infusion technique and said that it was the own Lord who asked for it. And the Lord asked how he dares a mere servant of the demonic cult, and accumulated so much that to counterattack, and asked if he really thinks the Nido can escape. And this attack shattered everything in its path, creating a large crater. And he realized that there were other servants of the demonic cult here, all attacking from behind him at the same time, and Pai thought that this would be difficult even for the clan's lord himself. But he dodged easily from all the blows, but K took advantage of the gap. But the Lord said he wouldn't fall for that trick twice, and the Lord Honglong used the emerging yellow dragon from the water. And Nid had to protect himself with a demonic technique, but still suffered great cuts all over his body. Pierre thought that at this rate it would get really dangerous. Does Nido still has energy, but the Lord was going to deliver a completely undefendable blow to Nido. He had to dodge, but still suffered damage. He was trying to retaliate, but was at a huge disadvantage. Pai thought that Raglong's body was already indestructible. There was no way Nido could win this fight, but despite that, he received a blow to the neck all because of Rina. He was risking his own body to save the girl, and Nido said that this is truly incredible, but still, his sword made contact with the Lord's skin. The infusion technique will take effect. And indeed, when the two stared at each other for a moment, Lord Raglong felt blood coming from his neck, and he said that it's been a long time since he received an injury of this level. Not bad for a mere servant of the demonic cult. But this is where that his life ends. But of course it wouldn't be that easy. He had to dodge another burst of demonic power, demonic. That's because the entire squad was there to protect the No, and they all attacked at the same time. But Lord Raglong saw them only as pathetic idiots, and with a simple movement, he completely changed the stance of his blade and drove it into the ground, wanting a massive explosion. And after all the smoke cleared, he said that as expected, everyone fled while Pai was hiding behind a tree, and the Lord was putting his sword back into the sheath, and Pai thought that even for someone who transcended arrogance, death is inevitable. However, this does not applies to Lord Raglong, and the Lord said that they called him a young old man. A single phrase shows that he has reached the realm of harmony. P said that in his opinion, it seems like a conspiracy just to bait him with a trap. The Lord said he thinks the same. They probably already planned to trap him with the net of heaven. Earth is centralized around Rina herself, and the Lord said that at least he brought the child. The truth is that he was suspecting him until now, but seeing that he was also a target of the recent attack, he understands it's typical of the brutal demonic cult with the traitors, and said that now he trusts Pai, and Pai thanked him, but he thought everything was going according to plan. And Pai said that the one they just saw is named Nadio, a master in charge of the 5 great regions in the demonic cult. His presence means that all members of the demonic path from the Loyang branch have been mobilized for this task, and the Lord said that if it weren't like this, it wouldn't be worth it. They must capture this Nadio and release the sealed points on Rina, but he noticed some knives being thrown and dodged them easily, and Pai said to look up because it was simply raining knives. So after a long time of raining knives, kunai shuriken, the entire forest was filled with these weapons. But still, they managed to pass, even with the Lord very tired, and Pai thought that his internal energy was supposed to be limitless. But why does he look so tired? And the Lord said that if he didn't move, he would come to him. So with Rina on his back, he charged at the next enemy. But of course, there wasn't just one. He was surrounded as always, and after a great explosion with the powers coming into contact, he realized they had escaped again and called them damned cowards while he was still walking, worried about Rina, and he looked very, very tired and weak. Yet more attacks they reached them, and even Pedo this time. and the Lord managed to defend himself with his blade and asked how long they're going to keep this up, and how many weapons they have available. But an enemy approached from the front now. The very Nado said that now it's time for the second round, and Pai noticed that he was healed very quickly in an hour or two, and the Lord said that for someone who hasn't surpassed the mortal realm, Nadio is very arrogant. No, the Nod said that this is exactly the reason. Actually, if he kills someone of his level, maybe that damn wall of the mortal realm breaks, isn't it? The Lord said yes, maybe that's the case, but we can't forget that the wall between life and death might break first. And Nadio said it was a fair trade and charged at Lord anyway, and the P wondered why he acted so hastily. Obviously, Lord took advantage of that opening using a technique in his palm, but just at the moment that Nadio would be hit, he planted his sword in the ground and jumped back, dodging that palm that would have killed him in one single blow. So he dodged the Lord's sword and launched a direct attack at him. If it didn't hit the Lord, it would hit Rina. But exactly for that reason, he defended instead of dodging, which made Nadio lose his stance and make him lose his balance, and the Lord took advantage of this opening to kill Nadio right there. Nadio realized that this was very dangerous, so one of the servants of the demonic cult threw himself to grab Nad and pull him out of the attack, while the other took charge of blocking the blade with his sword, which was completely shattered right after that he was hit in the shoulder. The other surrounded the Lord so that his ally wouldn't die, but he used the palm technique, killing that cult servant at the same moment. But in the meantime, Nadio pierced the demonic cult servant himself. 2. Hit Lord Raglong, and he used the Yang infusion technique again this time. The Lord felt that something was wrong. So Nadio, after piercing his own servant, took out the sword and killed him. And the Lord said he didn't expect such a dirty trick even from the demon cult. So he used a technique to blow everything up, even the forest itself. That's it for today, folks. Hope you enjoyed it.